Such welcome, such gladness. We are meditating today. The subject is the unborn self. And so one of the sources of that title comes from the Bhagavad Gita. And so this is one of the scriptures. And likely you've heard it before, but listen as if you're hearing it for the first time. Yes! I asked someone earlier, can I whoop with joy now? So just so you know, inside I'm whooping with joy. I know it's not really polite in this context to be doing that outwardly, so I'm refraining. You can feel the inner whoop. Never the self was born, nor will it ever die, nor having existence will it ever cease to exist. Birthless, deathless, changeless, eternal, ever itself is the soul. And so you can just feel the potency, the purity, the presence, the sacred truth, the reality of that. And so that is what's true always. That is what is eternal. That never changes. It can never leave us. That is the love that we are forever. So whatever your word for that is, it might be insight, it might be clarity, it might be the one, it might be paradise, it might be the New Jerusalem, it might be the city of Brahman. Whatever for your word for that is, nirvana, realization, liberation, it is that. And it is what we are forever. And I'm going to invite you to go back mentally, go back in your awareness to the very start. Never the self was born, nor will it ever die. It is the unborn self that is the undying self. It is the undying self that is the unborn self. The born self will die. This is not a problem. This is just part of the play of consciousness. And so what happens is humans identify with the born self. And we forget the unborn self, which means that we also forget the undying self. And so I'm going to start to borrow a couple of images. This comes from Yogananda. He says, we are here to play a part, but not to become enmeshed and identify with our roles. And so chances are, if you're human, you have become enmeshed and you do identify with your roles. And so that's why all of these sacred teachings and why all of the sacred scriptures are here to remind us never the self was born, nor will it ever die. And to remind us that in our deep, true, eternal nature, you are the undying self, also the unborn self. The born self in you will die. And it is the born self in you that is capable of experiencing pleasure, that is capable of experiencing pain. We were talking about, in satsang on Friday, someone asked a really beautiful question, and I gave a much longer answer Friday. So if you're interested in this question, enjoy that meditation from Friday. The question was, how do I release unhealthy attachment in a relationship? And so one way to do this, and this is a very short way, but it also works to help us identify, disidentify from anywhere where we have become enmeshed in the roles that we are playing. Just say, thanks to divine grace, I let go of unhealthy attachment, and only love remains. Thanks to divine grace, I let go of unhealthy attachment, only clarity remains. Thanks to divine grace, I let go of unhealthy attachment, only peace remains. Thanks to divine grace, I let go of unhealthy attachment, only wisdom remains. Whatever it is that you would love to be feeling and experiencing that is other than unhealthy attachment, name that. Thanks to divine grace, I let go of unhealthy attachment, and what remains is my heart's desire. This steadiness, this kindness, this strength, this peace, this freedom, this clarity, this joy, this gladness, this awareness, this realization, this truth. And so that we can work with, and I'm going to invite us to close our eyes and to face ourselves with courage and with clarity and with compassion, and be willing truly to look at ourselves and see. So Lahiri says that there is no spiritual progress without spiritual honesty. And so that's what we're asking. Not harshness and not castigating ourselves, but good humor and kindness and spiritual honesty in relation to ourselves. And so work with Yogananda's insight. He says we are here to play our roles and not to become enmeshed or identified with the part we are playing. And so just allow yourself to scan through your life. And this actually includes the body. Have I become enmeshed with identifying with what my body is experiencing? And this can be true whether we're an Olympic athlete or whether we are experiencing an illness. Have I become enmeshed? Am I identifying with what my body is experiencing? And then let's ask the same question with regard to emotions. So in terms of our human relationships, in terms of our human feelings, scan through your life. Have I become enmeshed? Am I identifying with the roles or the parts that I am playing? And then with regard to your patterns of thinking, again, good humor, kindness, and spiritual honesty. Have I become enmeshed with? Am I identifying with my thought patterns, my habits, my beliefs, my concepts, old energy in any form? The divine is ever new joy. Thank God for that, which means that the divine will be greeting us anew, always. And so we are continually invited to let go of our ideas, our concepts, and to expand and encounter the divine fresh, to actually allow ourselves to feel and taste and touch the divine fresh in every moment. 6.4 billion moments a day. That's a lot of freshness. So, and you can see how freeing simply asking the question is. Simply asking the question already connects you with your expanded awareness, which can never be enmeshed, can never be identified with anything that is temporary. And so, one more question before we go to the meditation and the releasing of enmeshment part. Just look at your life. Again, with courage and also good humor and caring and spiritual honesty. And ask yourself, with relation to your life, have I become enmeshed in any area of my life? Am I identifying with any of the roles that I am playing in my life? And notice, for all of that reflection that we just enjoyed, how does enmeshment feel? How does it feel in the body? Every body is different. And everybody will give you a signal, an indicator, just a marker that lets you know enmeshment is here. I'm feeling enmeshment. And so just notice what that feels like. And then let's give ourselves the gift of connecting with the unborn self, the undying self, that which is imperishable, can never perish, can never be marked, can never change, can never leave us, can never betray us, can never disappoint us. That in us, which, when we are in contact with that, makes it impossible for fear to be present. That in us, which is the ground of beingness. And so let's enjoy that meditation. So anywhere that you noticed enmeshment being present, identification with whatever you are experiencing being present, the way that you know that, there will be pain, there will be fear, there will be a feeling of frustration or tiredness or strain or stress. So just choose one of those areas where you noticed enmeshment and give yourself the great gift of saying, thanks to divine grace, I let go of any entanglement. I let go of any unhealthy attachment. I let go of identifying with whatever role I am playing. Thanks to divine grace, only divine love remains. Thanks to divine grace, only clarity and peace, kindness, joy, delight, and gladness remain. I give myself the gift of feeling in this very body how divine peace feels in this body. I give myself the gift of feeling how divine love feels in this heart. I give myself the gift of feeling how divine peace feels in this mind. I give myself the gift of feeling how the supreme, the support, the pure life energy feels in this life of mine. And then just notice how the body feels now, connected with truth, connected with reality. And use that as another indicator, another map, another internal GPS system, another way of navigating in the realm of time and space while remembering our true nature. And this is the energy of freedom. So this is what Yogananda says. We each are here to play our parts well. And so just notice when you think about the part you are invited to play now, and you're coming at that part from this clarity, this awareness, this spaciousness, this purity, this freedom, this joy, this expansiveness, your true self, how does your role feel? It feels different. And so just notice, how does your role feel when you come from this generosity, this open-heartedness, this clarity, this willingness? And notice what becomes possible as you approach your own body from this spaciousness, from this wholeness, from this eternal gorgeousness. Notice what becomes possible as you approach your own heart from this sheer love, inexhaustible, limitless, measureless love. Notice what becomes possible as you approach your own mind, your own life, with this clear wisdom and kind insight. The sweetness of what is true and real. Your own joy of being. So if you like, keep your eyes closed. I'm keeping mine closed and weaving in another teaching from the Upanishads. So the Upanishads tell us, this is such gorgeous advice, which also has the same result of connecting us with the unborn self, the undying self, and helping us be a joyful, happy, free, lovely, born self as well at the same time. The Upanishads tell us, just as a bird roosts on a tree, rest your senses in the Supreme. And I invite you just to allow that to happen. As a bird roosts on a tree, rest your senses in the Supreme. The Upanishads also tell us, just as a bird rests on a tree, rest your mind in the Supreme. the Upanishads also say, just as a bird roosts on a tree, rest your life energy in the Supreme. Allow yourself to feel directly the way that melts away the illusion of separateness. It melts away the possibility of identifying with the roles that we play in time and space. It melts away the bounded, limited, separate individual self. We remember our true, free, expansive self, beyond concepts, beyond ideas, beyond words, beyond speech, beyond thought. Just pure sweetness, pure beingness. This puts us into contact with pure consciousness, pure energy. I'm not saying to do this, but when you blink your eyes open, what happens is the external world becomes visible. So the energy of the senses become directed outward into the realm of time and space, into the world that supports the illusion of the separate individual self. And we're here to be of service. So we're not here to turn away from that world, but we're here to be of service freely, with open hearts, with clarity, remembering never the self was born, nor will it ever die. The I am within each of us is the unborn, undying self. And then there is this incredible projection of light, which takes the form of the born self, which is also the dying self for each of us. When we have this clear, steady awareness, we are able to navigate everything that arises in time and space with absolute joy, with freedom, with wholehearted, pure love and caring and delight and laughter. So if you like, I invite you to keep your eyes closed. I'm blinking mine open. And I have a couple of teachings, a couple of other joyful reminders to share, just to help us remember. So one of them is amusing. It's the energy of humor, which can help us break our identification with what we have become enmeshed with in the realm of time and space. And so this is a cartoon that I came across this week. You might have seen, they're usually outside of businesses, and they're like these blow-up stick figure men, and they're made out of plastic. They're inflatable, and they bend, and they wave their arms, and they dance. So you can buy them online if you ever feel inspired to do that. And I came across this cartoon that has one stick figure blow-up, tall, skinny, inflatable guy waving around, dancing, saying to another one who's doing the same thing, "I can't figure out why we're so excited about used cars." And so that's an example of a moment of awakeness, like a moment of self-awareness, like, why am I doing this? Why am I playing this role that I'm playing? And so if you like to remember that particular cartoon and that image of like just that burst of laughter, every one of us has that burst of laughter within us, which helps break the cycle of any unhealthy attachment or any way in which we are enmeshing ourselves and limiting ourselves and thinking that things only can happen according to the way that we think they can. As soon as we think that, we're really straining ourselves, we're really stressing ourselves. And so I'll share with you another little funny sign that I saw once. It said, "How flexible are you?" And the answer given was, "Totally, as long as everything is exactly the way I like it." And so we're reminding ourselves to be flexible and to be the joy of being, even when things are not exactly the way that we like it. And then we're free. So we go beyond our own personal preferences, and then we're always free. We go beyond our personality, and then we're always able to speak from the light to the light in the other. And what happens then is the dynamic is completely changed. The energy in the whole room can shift, no matter how large that room is. And so this is what each of us is invited to do. It's what each of us is invited to be. And so I will share and this is moving toward our closing, a couple of wonderful teachings from Swami Nityananda. So he says, those established in peace in the heart are not moved by inner and outer change. And so just feel your way into that. There is peace in the heart, and if we establish ourselves there, we are not moved by inner and outer change. And he goes on to say, this is not up here, but he goes on to say that that's the test. When change arises, do I remain in the peace center, in the heart? No matter what is said, do I remain in the peace center, in the heart? And with the meditations that we enjoyed so far today, that establishes directly our foundation, our beingness, our existence, our eternal presence, but also the way that we can be here in time and space, in the peace center, in joy, in freedom, remembering what we're here for, not identifying with our roles, but playing them really, really joyfully with delight, whooping with joy while we play whatever roles we're asked to play. And so again, just to give yourself that gift, I intend, I vow, I remain in the peace center in my heart. No matter what is happening inwardly or outwardly, no matter what is said, no matter what I seem to perceive or observe, no matter what seems to occur, I am established in the peace center in the heart. And I choose to only think, speak, and make choices from the peace center in my heart. And you can feel instant freedom right there. We are instantly free as soon as we are in contact with that. The other thing that Swami Nityananda says is, share what you receive, and you will have an abundance to share ongoingly. And so this is just reminding us of our own generosity of soul, our own generosity of spirit. He's using different words, but he's saying the same thing that another great teacher said, as you measure out, so it shall be measured out to you. And this is not because there's some accountant up in the sky saying, meh, she has an X next to her name, so meh, I'm giving her this meh. But this is, so one image is, if you are expansive and open-hearted, and if you're not watching me right now, my arms are open as wide as they can possibly go. If you open your arms as wide as they can possibly go, and you give it all away, look what's possible. You can also receive it all. And here's where we're invited to let go. It's not going to be a one-to-one exchange. It's not going to be, I did this for you, therefore you have to do this for me. That right there is precisely conditioned consciousness. Swami Nityananda used to call it bargaining consciousness. That's bargaining consciousness. So let go of that. As I share everything that I receive, I will have an abundance to share ongoingly. And so it's as you measure out, it shall be measured out to you, because if you're open-armed, you're open-hearted, and you've given it all away, look what happens. You're open. You can receive it all again. And so again, let go of this idea that there's this giant ledger in the sky with an X next to you, or a green check mark next to you. It's because you are the energy of openness. So the energy of openness is able to be, not just to give itself to you, not just to share itself with you. It is you. You become that energy of generosity. You are that energy of generosity. And in truth, everything comes down to that. So when we meditate on peace, we're not invited to think about peace. We're not invited to talk about peace. We're actually not even invited to do peace. We're invited to be peace. And then all thinking, all words and all actions arise from our being of peace. And the same thing with generosity. It's not talking about generosity or thinking it. It's, am I generosity? And the answer is, you are generosity. You cannot help it. So be your true self. You cannot help it. And the same thing with regard to all of the divine qualities that we've been meditating on today. You are the unborn self. You can't help it. You are the undying self. There's nothing that you can do. You could do the craziest thing imaginable, like come up with the craziest thing imaginable. It doesn't change that you're the unborn self. It doesn't change that you're the undying self. It doesn't change the infinite, immeasurable love and joy of being that you are always. And so, be yourself. Thank God, and God bless us all.